Hi everyone and welcome to TechUptic. Today we are going to set up Windows Server 2025. But instead of a basic installation, we will focus on preparing it for a real-world production environment. We will go through the installation process and then jump straight into the essential configuration steps like static IP setup and security hardening. Let's head over to the lab and get started. Before jumping into the installation of the server, I want to mention some key features that come with Windows Server 2025. The first one is hot patching. As you know, when we deploy operating system patches, most of them require a reboot operation because they change the core files residing on the disk. With the hot patching architecture, the patches are actually injected into the codes running inside the RAM without touching the disk files. But I want to inform you that this doesn't mean that we won't have to reboot our servers and computers at all. Because Microsoft will release patches called baselines 4 times a year, these will require a reboot. However, other security patches will write data directly into the RAM without rebooting our systems. So this means less downtime for us. The second feature is SMB over QUIC. Employees who have to work from outside the company do not need to use a VPN or an agent to reach company files. The QUIC protocol opens the file traffic to the internet over UDP 443. Since it eliminates TCP handshake, the system runs faster. The user simply types // file server name, for example, and it connects to the server over a secure tunnel encrypted with TLS 1.3, just as if they were in the office. I think this is a very important development for us. The last feature I want to mention is the new NVMe developments. Server 2025 brings important changes to the storage architecture. Microsoft wrote a new and optimized storage stack, bypassing the old SCSI and ASCII storage layers. With this improvement, it delivers up to 90% more IOPS compared to older versions. If you are going to set up servers with heavy data processing, this technology will drop your hardware costs significantly. And finally, you see the hardware requirements on the screen. The minimum values are 1.4 GHz for the CPU, 32 GB for disk space, 2 GB for memory, and 1 GB for network access. But I want to draw your attention to the last requirement, which is TPM. Technically, you can set up Server 2025 without a TPM module. However, if you want to use modern security features like virtualization-based security, VBS, and credential guard, we must have TPM hardware present. In this video, since we are following best practices, we will proceed with the most secure scenario. Okay then, we can start installation of the server. After opening VMware Workstation Pro, click Create a new virtual machine. Select Typical and click Next. I will choose I will install the operating system later option and click Next. Please make sure you select the Microsoft Windows and as for the version Windows Server 2025 and click Next. Please give a name for the virtual machine and change the location if needed and click Next. 60 GB is sufficient for us, but if you want, you can increase it. I will choose Store Virtual Disk as a single file and keep the default disk size and click Next and click Finish. Before starting installation, let's make sure all hardware configuration are set. Click Edit Virtual Machine Settings. For memory, let's increase it 4 GB or 8 GB. For the processors, I will increase the cores as 4. CD DVD option, I will target the Windows Server 2025 ISO file. Click here and then click Browse and go to the ISO file directory. The network NAT option is okay for us. I don't need sound card here. I will remove it. So the final one is the TPM. Even if TPM seems not important for the servers, I think it is very crucial because stealing software is much more easier than stealing the hardware, in my opinion. So when someone has access to data store, he or she can easily copy the contents to a target location and open it. So if we enable encryption for servers, even if they are in a virtualization environment, we can prevent this happening. To do that, go to the options and click the access control. We need to make sure the files are encrypted accordingly. You can choose either only the files needed to support the virtual TPM or all the files. If you are in a production environment, please select the all the files for this virtual machine option. I will give a password and click encrypt. After that, go back to the hardware tab and click Add Trusted Platform Module and click finish. Okay then, we are all set and we can start the installation process. Click the power on this virtual machine button. Please click the blank screen and click any keyboard key to boot from the ISO file. We chose the language as English. For time and currency formats, choose accordingly. I will choose Turkish here and click next. I will choose Turkish Q keyboard and click next. We would like to install Windows Server, so this option is okay for us. And click I agree everything will be deleted, including files, apps, and settings option. And click next. We need GUI, so we will select the second option, Windows Server 2025 Standard Edition with desktop experience. And click next. We are accepting the license terms here. To do that, please click accept. We have only one disk, so it is already selected and we can click next to start the installation. It says it is ready to install and gives a summarization. We are good to go. I will fast forward the video to not letting you to wait for this process and we will continue again. On this section, we will give a password for the administrator account. Please make sure give a strong password here as a best practice. Let's send the Ctrl-Alt-Delete combination and log into the server. I am selecting the required only and click accept to send diagnostic data to Microsoft. Right now, as you can see, the screen is very small. To configure the server properly, we need to install the VMware tools. We can do it from here. Click tools. After this, in CD/DVD section, VMware tools will be bind and we can install it. Click the VMware tools autoplay and click run setup exe. Please click next and select complete, next and install. Click finish and to let take the effects, click yes to restart the server. Click again, send Ctrl-Alt-Delete key combination and enter your password here. To let you see the screen better, I will increase the scaling a bit. Yes, it's better. To configure the server with best practices, first let's give a proper name. Close this. From the server manager, click the local server and then click the computer name here. Click the change and give a proper name according to your naming standards. Let's click OK. Click OK. Click close. It will require restart, but we will do it later. So click restart later. The second one is a time zone. While we are inside the server manager, let's click time zone settings. It is 0800 Pacific time. If it is okay for you, keep it. But according to my location, I will change it. Change time zone and select the appropriate time zone. Okay, let's refresh it to see it gets the effect. Okay, it's great. The other configuration is changing the IP address. The servers cannot have dynamic IP address. It shouldn't actually. So we need to give a static IP address. To make this happen, go to the network settings, click network and internet settings. From there, you can click Ethernet and then in IP assignment section, click edit. Change the DHCP to manual and enable the IPv4 and specify the IP address. You can give a proper DNS name according to your environment, but I will just give it the Google DNS for now and click Save. Right now we can restart the server to take the effects. The next best practice will be related with the remote desktop connections. As you know, administrators can connect to remote servers with this protocol and do their jobs. But while configuring it, we need to make sure the connections are secure and also restricted to certain users. To make this happen, let's close this pop-up, click the local server and click the remote desktop. Currently, it is disabled. To enable it, click the Allow Remote Connections to this computer. In the pop-up, it says that an exception will be added and enabled in the firewall for the remote desktop. Let's click it OK. And please make sure that allow connections only from computers running remote desktop with network level authentication option is enabled. It will make much more secure than disabling it. And when we want to define which users can make remote connections to this server, we can click select users and add the users here. Since my environment is pretty new, I have only administrator account and he already has the access. So I don't need to add anything. But in your case, if you are in a domain environment or if you have multiple users, please make sure only the users necessary are listed here. And to save the settings, click OK and again OK. The next best practice is related with the Windows updates. As you know, when servers automatic updates are enabled, they fetch the updates and restart the server by itself. So this means that we cannot control the downtimes, but as administrators, we should be able to control it. So to check these settings, I want to display an option here. Right click the start and click run. And here write sconfig and enter. It will open a terminal and display some configurations that we can do. We can increase the speed of this configuration easily. As you can see, there are domain, workgroup settings, computer name settings, or other settings that you can configure here as selecting options. Our configuration will be the update settings, and it is already set as download only, which is fine for us. But let's assume that this is automatic updates. And if you want to change this, we have to type 5 and enter. As you can see, there are certain settings like automatic, download only, or manual. If you want to change these settings, just again type the number in front of them. Let's say we want to set as download only and type enter. And after that, you will see that the current settings will be changed here. So you can use this tool to configure certain options. To exit it, type 15 and type enter. The other best practice is removing the unnecessary services. So when we install the server, there are a lot of services active and running. But in your environment, some of them may not be needed. So it can affect the performance. To disable these, right-click the start and click run. And then type services.msc. Let's expand the window. There are lots of services here, and if we want to disable some of them, we have to enter inside it and disable it accordingly. To make these configurations easier, I will use a script here. Let's go to the C drive and create a new folder. Let's call it temp and enter it. Let me copy this script here. Let's call it disable services. Let's change the extension to PS1. Click OK and paste it. Before running this script in your end, I strongly suggest that check these services list if they are okay for you. For example, we are disabling the spooler service, but in your environment, if you are going to run this script in a printer server, you shouldn't include this service. So please check these and update according to your needs, and then you can run this script safely. Let's save it and exit it. Let's open a PowerShell with admin rights. Let's go to the directory and run the script. As you can see, the green ones are the successful ones. Other ones give some information about, for example, these services was not found on the system or already disabled or missing. So let's check this script is working or not. Let's check the spooler service. It says running an automatic. Let's refresh it. Yes, the script is working fine and it disabled the print spooler service. I believe this is the end of this video. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching. See you on the next time. Bye.